I went to church and I was in the middle of plotting a murder at that time, like out of revenge, for something or whatever with this guy. And so I'm watching him during the week. I'm watching his house. I'm planning the whole thing or whatever. I'm seeing him when he comes and goes from work. The whole thing. Same time I'm going to church. And I went to church for about a month or so, whatever, month and a half, maybe 2 months. And then it was like, man, you gonna turn to a church boy? You gonna handle this thing? And I was like, man, we gonna handle this thing. So I'm sitting in church one Sunday. I'm planning on knocking this guy off on a Wednesday. And I leave out of the church doing the altar call because I hated to hear the altar call. Man, it enraged me. Told my girl, yo, let's hurry up and beat the traffic out of here. And that's how I would get out of the altar call. So we went to go walk out of the door. I made about 10 steps, man, and I heard God clear as day. And he said, you're gonna die this week. And I stopped in my tracks. She turned around. She said, Jay, she goes, you all right? I said, you didn't hear that? And I said, God? I said, an angel? I was so afraid to say God's name out my mouth, I switched it to angel. And she looked at me, she said, Jay, are you high today? I said, nah, maybe that's what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? I said, maybe that's what's wrong, whatever. And she said, what did you hear him say? And I went to repeat it and I started crying like a baby. And we're outside of the church, and she said, well, what do you want to do? I said, we got to go back in there. And I went back in there and I prayed with this guy. And
Come
I
on.
couldn't, I was so condemned. I couldn't receive what he was saying. I just was thinking like, bro, you don't know what me and my people do, whatever, like, and then for some reason, he started talking about being an alcoholic. And at the time I was a ferocious alcoholic, man. I dropped to the liquor store slobbering down my shirt, bro. Like, just like, that's how bad it had me. And when he spoke and he told me that God freed him for that, I told him, I said, let's say the prayer again. We basically started over. And the thing about it was that I had said the prayer a million times growing up, but I always wanted God to fix my life. This time I was like, I need you to take the old Jay, kill him. Take the old one, kill him, do whatever you got to do, God. I'm like, I need a whole new deal. Like, I need you to take my heart. I like this wicked stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, but I'm giving up to you. Take it. Like, don't fix it. Make a whole new life. And
Wow.
God been with me ever since, man.